All right, what's up, my brothers from another mother? I'm on with Rollo Tomassi of the Rational Mail series. We're going to be going through a bunch of questions today on Q&A that I solicited through some social media platforms. Those of you that are familiar with Rollo need no introduction. Those that aren't, I'm going to leave some links in the description below for his work, to his books and to his blog. Rollo's a red pill pioneer and a guy that I can say for myself personally has opened my eyes to the way the world works. And I know he's woken up a lot of guys that have been sleepwalking through their life as well. So we're going to get a bunch of questions today. Leave a comment below and smash the like button and show this to somebody that might need to see it. So one of the first questions I got is, those of you that know you really well know that you rehabilitate greyhounds and help these guys out, I guess, live a better life themselves. So one person asked, what's the story behind that and how'd you get into that?
I used to live in another life. I used to live in Orlando, Florida, as you know. And there was a point in my life where I was dog free. I've always had dogs. When I first met my wife, she had a dog, and then we decided to get that dog another dog. And it was at a time where both of those dogs had just passed away. And we were on what we would call like a staycation. We were hanging out in one of the really nice like the Marriott or something like that in Orlando. And, it was kind of a new thing to us because, we had just moved there from Reno to Orlando. And we saw some kind of special, I think it was on TV once, and it said something about, it was like a documentary about greyhounds. And we figured, hey, we're in Florida. Let's start checking out the greyhound track, because if we want to actually adopt one of these dogs, I want to see what their lives are like. And so I started frequenting the Sanford Orlando dog track. And so I started going there. I started taking pictures. I just sort of fell in love with the dogs and the racing and just I guess the whole sport really. I sort of just sank my teeth into it, and I really found my breed of dog, which was greyhounds, because they're just such unique animals, and they're just like every dog has a personality, of course, but I think that greyhounds are a very unique breed in that most greyhound racing or greyhound dogs that you see today are part of a circuit of breeders and trainers and owners. And there's a whole life that the dogs go through before you can actually, get to adopt them at all. So you're talking about like from the whelping all the way up through their training, all the way up to, even will a dog race? And then from there, they might have a career on the track that's only going to last them maybe 2 to 4 years tops. And of course, there's a lot of injuries. And then there's sometimes that dogs get through it and they're okay. But I really just fell in love with the breed. And so I decided to adopt my first 2, and I got them. And the reconditioner, the lady that we had adopted them from, they have like agencies, adoption agencies all throughout Florida. And Florida is probably one of the biggest dog racing states right now. And I think we're down to like 5 or 6 states in the United States will allow dog racing, because it's kind of systematically being sort of phased out because, too many people think it's cruel and just this horrible thing. But I can tell you right now that a lot of what I got into when I was learning about the dogs is that, yeah, there is some cruelty to it, and you're forcing an animal to race, and you're forcing them to perform for you. And so you get PETA and you get all these other groups that really get into sensationalizing greyhound racing as something that's really a horrible thing. So and I can see that from a certain point of view. I'm not anti-racing. I'm very much pro-racing, because that's what these dogs were bred to do. But I do think that it needs to be more regulated for sure.
So,
but it's not a cheap sport, and it's certainly not a cheap, way to go if you're adopting dogs. So, but just long story short, I adopted 2 dogs. I started picking up. We became really, really good friends with some people who were in the agency that we had adopted them from, and we lived in a very unique situation where we were in Florida, where we had room for more dogs. So after that, I started learning how to recondition them, and I started learning how to be a foster parent parent for the dogs. And we just had a really good area to do it in the place that I was living at the time. So I really dug into it, and it just became something of, I won't say a hobby, but just more of a passion for me to really get into this. And then, of course, we had a third dog. Actually, our first foster, we failed because we wanted to say, oh, we're going to recondition this dog and give it to a new family and stuff. And we just couldn't do it.
Mm.
And so then that ended up being my third Gray. And after that, we learned the system, and we learned how to sort of, not to get too emotionally attached to a dog. And then there's some other dogs you get really attached to, and then other dogs are just kind of like, oh, we love you, but, better luck in your next life kind of thing. And so I started doing that. And as you know, right now, I've recently just moved from one area of northern Nevada to another area. And the reason I bought this property was so that I would have about an acre of land for my dogs to move around. And of course, if you hear them in the background here, I apologize right now. I've got three. I currently have 3 dogs right now, and I'm considering, one of the reasons I bought this property is I'm considering doing some more foster work too.
Right. All right, Rollo, I just want to thank you for your time today. Really appreciate that. Again, links are in the description below. If you guys have a comment, please do so. Leave something down there, smash the like button, and share this with somebody that might need to see it. Thanks, Rollo.